What is happening, Jack Russell fans? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Josh here with TerrierOwner.com. And of course we have Luna out like usual, and here's the good news for once is that the weather is finally getting nice outside again. So I found it very fitting to make today's video all about the 12 things you can do to get your yard prepped, safe and secure for your Jack Russell and ready to go for the nice weather months that are ahead of us. It's coming up next. Alright guys, like I said, super happy to have you guys back on the channel. Thank you guys for coming back. If you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so now. This channel is specifically designed to help new Jack Russell Terrier owners raise their dogs, have some fun while doing it, and learn some cool tips and tricks along the way. So consider subscribing if you haven't done so. Give us a thumbs up on this video, and always keep in mind that we have new videos that come out every Sunday at 11 a.m. and we have an entire blog dedicated to go hand in hand with this YouTube channel at TerrierOwner.com. And now it is time for those 12 things that we recommend that you guys do to prep your yard for your Jack Russell Terrier. And be sure to stick around for number 12, guys, because that is the biggest piece of advice I will have for you in this video. We will save the best for last, but let's go ahead and kick it off with number 1, which is something I learned the hard way. Thankfully, nothing bad happened, but the first thing you need to do is proof your yard as if you are proofing your house for a newborn baby. This may not be what you think it means. So what I mean is, do you have any things like spotlights in your backyards that are running extension cords? I had a Traeger grill that was plugged into an outlet in the back, and I completely neglected to realize that you need to prep your yard in this fashion, because this dog, when it's bored outside, if you're not paying attention, will find things to chew, and some of those things include things like wires. So tip number 1 is proof your yard for basic safety. Make sure there's nothing out there that could harm your Jack Russell, or nothing that you want to see chewed in that fashion. Typically this will be things like landscaping lights that are running cords that are exposed, the grill or the smoker, I'm sorry, that I just mentioned, maybe some kind of toys for the kids that are plugged into some kind of all-weather setup, or they're plugged into like an extension cord charging. Just make sure that the yard is safe for your Jack Russell, and you have tip number 1 completed, which means we can move into number 2, which is make sure that your yard is secure. So this is mainly being directed at the people who have a backyard or a fenced-in yard, so to speak. It could also be for people that are on a farm, but typically the methods will be a little bit different. If you're living in an apartment or kind of living in a bigger city, this doesn't apply to you, because you're either going to need to train your Jack Russell to be great at recall training, which is come and stay. But if you have your dog off a lead, off of a leash, freely running in the backyard, you want to make sure that it's secure. And you need to remember that this is a small dog. It's almost like a little rat, or a big rat, I guess is how you would word that, but they can wedge their bodies between, let's say, fence posts that are spaced too far. Or sometimes where a fence meets the gate, where it closes, that can often be where the biggest gap in the fence is located, or under the fence. Sometimes there's a big enough gap that they could dig or get under it. She did it several times when we first got her, before we got smart enough to actually proof the yard in that fashion. But make sure you realize how small this dog is, how agile they are, how quickly they can dig, and make sure that the yard is escape proof in that fashion. Which is a complete correlation with number 3, which is you don't only have to proof your yard for wedging and going under it, but you need to realize that this dog can jump much higher than most other dogs. So let me give you an example. We have a porch in the backyard that has a hot tub sitting on it, which is extremely close to one of the sides of the yard with the fence. The fence is 48 inches tall, so 4 feet, and the hot tub sits from where she can jump on it from the porch about 30 inches up, but she can easily get on the cover of that hot tub. The only thing that has saved us from her jumping directly into the neighbor's yard to go play with their dog is the gap between the fence and the hot tub. It's just a tad bit too far. I felt terrible the first time that she tried to make this clearance, because what she did is got a running start, hopped the hot tub, and then went for the full long jump, and ended up face planting into the wooden fence. She bounced right back from it, because these dogs are fearless, and it was like it didn't even faze her, but if it would have been a few inches closer, she would have ended up in the other yard. So don't only proof your yard for the wedging and going under, but make sure it's proof for anything that they could use to go over. Number 4, guys, is all about you. It's all about your belongings and the things that you enjoy or that you love in the backyard. I'm going to give my examples, but you can easily place into your head what that means for you. But this past year, we did a few things. First, we bought our son his first swing set, So we landscaped it in, we got all excited, and then we bought some of that expensive rubber mulch that's, you know, meant to be safe for if a kid falls, etc. Well, she tends to do her zoomies in that mulch and kick it all around, pretty much ruined it within a week to where it needs a whole new layer of mulch. And you will also have that problem with things like gardens, nice landscaping, other mulched areas if they're not trained to stay out of them. So what you need to do is plan for that in advance, whether it's running little posts with some chicken wire, being outside with them on a leash until they realize where they can and can't go without getting in trouble, those kinds of things. But sometimes it's not always about protecting the dog, but also protecting the things that you paid your hard-earned money for from your dog. One thing I do want to emphasize about this tip is that at no point do these dogs do anything to be malicious. They are just trained to burn energy quickly, have a lot of fun, be adventurous, and it's what they do. So you can't really get mad at them whenever they step on your flowers chasing a mouse, because their instincts take over and there's nothing they can do about it. They're not trying to be bad. But if you didn't plan on it, like I didn't plan on it, it's nobody's fault except your own and mine. It's not hers, right? Yeah, I figured you'd agree with that one. My next one, guys, really has nothing to do with prepping, but it does have to do with getting you mentally prepared for something, and that is understand that a Jack Russell Terrier does bark. I would not necessarily rank them as one of the heaviest barking dogs on the planet, but they do not mind getting vocal. One of our neighbors has a dog that also barks, so that naturally makes her have a barking contest with him. And then our neighbor that lives behind us, neither of my dogs are fans of. I think it's because she pays no attention. You really don't like her, huh? What'd she ever do to you? Tell me. Another time? Okay. She pays no attention to them, which I think just irritates them both, but both of those people cause them to go into kind of a barking frenzy. Clearly, there's no work to really be done on this front unless you're gonna use something like a shock collar or, you know, just basic training with them to get them to stop, but it is something to mentally prepare for that is directly related to your backyard or wherever your Jack Russell roam, so be prepared for that. My next one, guys, is another one that doesn't necessarily require prepping, but it does require you to just soak this information in and utilize it to your advantage, but use your yard to your advantage. Whether it's a smaller yard or a big yard, mine I would consider kind of medium, but we've kind of chewed up some of the space with this half basketball court and the kids swing set area, but let them get their exercise in, let them have some fun, realize they're gonna do their zoomies and run around. As long as it's safe and they're having a good time, you don't have much else to worry about. But it is a great opportunity to allow them to burn off some of that energy so that they behave better during the other hours of the day. Okay guys, my next one is about the things that you should have available to them. So this should be applied even if they're outside for a little bit, or if you let them hang out during the nice days for longer extended periods of time, but you should always have some toys available for them. Some toys that they enjoy playing with, whether you're outside with them or not. This could be durable chew bones. It could be tennis balls. They'll kind of kick them around to themselves and have some fun with it, but have some toys available for them to play with so that they're not left only finding things that are going to make you irritated to do, because with too much boredom and too much time on their hands, that's when they get a little creative with the things that they decide to do instead. And another thing that you can have available to them, guys, is something like a dog bed, because if you don't know the Jack Russell Terrier breed very well, one of their favorite things to do is soak up the sun. They will purposely find spots inside of the house where the sun beams in to lay in it. They just love to nap and kind of doze off in those nice warm sun spots. So if they're outside and you have that kind of sun coming into the backyard, have one of those dog beds that are breathable. They have like a mesh top on them. They're great, gives them somewhere where they can just relax and soak in the sun and enjoy the outdoors. And the last item that you should have, guys, or number 9 on my list here, is make sure that if your Jack Russell is having fun outside, enjoying the sun and enjoying the day, is have a water bowl available to them, and preferably one where it's not gonna heat up super easy. You could either keep the water bowl in the shade for them, or you could just refill it several times, or get one of the water bowls that is better at staying cool in the heat, but make sure they have access to water in case it's a warmer day. All right, guys, number 10 is you need to realize that this dog was bred to hunt, and when it comes to your backyard, whatever they can find or whatever they see, they are going after it. This is, again, an adventurous dog. They like to have a blast outside, but when it comes to their prey instincts, they see a rabbit, a squirrel, a mouse, a rat, doesn't matter what it is, they're going for it, and they may even dig to try and get to it or to reach that final destination. So when it comes to prepping, I understand that there's not a ton that you can do except supervise from time to time, which is recommended. But you also need to realize that some digging may take place. Her favorite spot in my backyard to go for these guys is usually under one of the porches, which makes sense. It's usually where we have the bunnies coming out of because it's the dark, cool area where the bunnies can feel safe, but she does try and get under there to do what Jack Russells do. So prepare in advance, understand it's gonna happen, and supervise if necessary. Which that one, guys, leads me directly into my next one. Is something you have to realize about this dog is it's not always about the prey instincts. It has a lot to do with that, but Luna here, and I'm pretty sure most other Jack Russells, they not only know how to dig, but they're going to dig, especially when they're young. So you need to supervise in the beginning. Too much time, too much boredom, too much of you not paying attention to them outside or interacting with them is going to result in some holes in the yard. It can get irritating in the beginning, but if you supervise them or you use a lead or a leash in the beginning until they start to understand what they should and shouldn't be doing, it's going to be a lot easier for you. Okay guys, as promised, if you stuck around this long, I wanted to give you my number one piece of advice out of these 12 tips, which is about your Jack Russell's safety outside. These dogs love to be outside. It almost makes it difficult some days for them to want to come back inside, and it makes it difficult with the peace and quiet you can get in the house when they're younger and really rambunctious to want to force the issue or make them come back inside. But you need to pay attention to the temperatures outside. It kind of goes back to having the water bowl available. If it makes sense and it's a beautiful day and they're well behaved in the yard, sure, let them do what they want to do. But if it's pretty warm out, you don't want to push it too much. You don't want to deal with any heat exhaustion or them being thirsty for water. So my top tip for you is, if your plan is to allow your Jack Russell to enjoy the outdoors, make sure that you are paying attention to the temps, paying attention to where the sun hits the yard so they're not getting too hot, and just look after their well-being. And of course, guys, we love to hear your guys' recommendation. I know a lot of you might be in different situations. Some of you might be in a yard like mine. Some of you might be in more of the city setup where it's a smaller yard or maybe no yard at all. And some of you might have acres of land, so you might have completely different tips. Be sure to drop those comments so everybody here can benefit from your advice as well. Again, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing for Luna and I here. It helps us out and it makes this extremely fun for us to keep making these videos for you. If you haven't given us a thumbs up on this video, please do so now. That also goes a really long way towards us growing and getting seen by more individuals on YouTube. And never forget to check out terrierowner.com. There's over 100 blog posts specifically dedicated for Jack Russell Terriers for you to learn more about them, or you can just type into the search bar any specific questions you have and hopefully we have the answer for you. Again, guys, never forget, Sundays, 11 a.m. Central Time, new videos coming out every week. We don't plan on stopping at any point, so we hope to keep seeing you guys on the channel. We appreciate all of you, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.